Welcome back to the Backyard Garden 2022. We're prepping for food shortages. In my backyard, I've almost doubled what I've done in the past because I'm really worried about our future. So here is my backyard gardening in 3 ways. You remember I shared in my last video how I dug up about 20 azaleas. Well, I've pulled all the roots up, filled in the holes, and now it's time to tiller up this new patch of my backyard to plant an in-ground garden. So I've got my tiller out. I've gone over it 3 or 4 times. I've caught a lot of roots out of here, a lot of sticks, but it's still really good soil. I've added in some fertilizer, and the soil has been tested, and I've got the right kind of fertilizer for the yard. And I even started planting some potatoes. So this part of the yard is going to be my in-ground garden. You can see my 2 apple trees, and I planted 4 or 5 different kinds of potatoes along that fence line. I do have some ground moles that I've had trouble with in the past, but I'm hoping I'll be able to keep some of my potatoes. But I've planted Yukon Gold, 2 varieties of red potatoes, and then I'm going to try a new variety. But always make sure when you're planting your potatoes that you put that eyes up, so that the new vines and all can grow upward. And this is the new, it's a blue potato. I've never tasted it before, but I'm really excited. The second and third way that I'm backyard gardening is by building raised beds and the container gardening. Now in 2019, my husband and I, on the far side of our yard, we built all these raised beds and have grown a lot of food in this small area. And I also have a lot of these buckets, and I do container gardening. Now, lumber prices have soared, so I really can't afford to build many more of these container garden boxes using the wood. But we did build one more because I wanted another area to grow in the spring and summer cucumbers, and I wanted to be able to put fall beans in the fall. So this is just showing you how we build these. Actually, the price of this one bed for the lumber was over $200. That's how much lumber has gone up. But we build a back frame first, and this is where we're going to attach wire, and then we will grow the cucumbers vertically up and get a really good harvest for pickles and relish and for eating. But my husband has built many of these, and he's done a really good job using the treated wood. And basically you build the trellis, and then you add the box to the front of it. And I really enjoy this kind of gardening the best in the containers because they're easy to maintain, they're easy to fertilize, and easy to grow. But like I said, I'm really focusing on trying to grow as much food as I possibly can in my little backyard. And so that's why I'm trying these 3 different methods. The in-ground on one side, and the container garden, and these raised beds. Now for a raised bed, all you have to do really is just lay out some cardboard, put on some leaves and some sticks, and then build your box around it, and then add in your good soil, your black cow manure, and your fertilizer. And so it's all maintained in one box, and they're easy to keep the weeds out and just work really well. But with lumber prices going up, it's going to really be hard for people to afford this type of gardening. I am his helper. We work good together. We're able to build these rather quickly, and I'm going to be working on getting this one filled and fertilized and ready to plant pickling cucumbers in this bed. So here we are putting in the finishing touches to the box. Everything's nice and level. I had laid down some cardboard and to kill that grass underneath, but I'm going to fill it in with some sticks and some good dirt, and then I'll be able to plant my cucumbers. Now, back in the middle of February, I had started these bok choy seeds, and they grow really fast under the lights and the heat mat, and they really needed to be transplanted into a bigger container. So I planted these in the red cups, and I've got them all labeled. And this is a delicious, fast-growing, cool weather crop. Bok choy, I love to saute it. I love to eat it chopped up in a salad. It is a very good, delicious, hearty vegetable to grow. So if you've never grown it before, I would tell you it's wonderful. Go ahead and grow you some, because the bugs don't seem to care for it like they do regular cabbage. And I really enjoyed eating it. So I've got that pricked out. And today, March the 14th, I went ahead and decided to go ahead and plant them in the ground. They have really gotten much bigger since they were pricked out, and they're about to outgrow these containers. That's how fast they grow. So I went ahead and put them in the ground. They are a cool weather crop. They like the cool weather. So hopefully we won't have any more freezes, and I'll get a good batch of bok choy. Now, after planting, I always like to add blood meal. It's a good source of nitrogen, really helps those plants to grow a lot of leaves and to grow fast. So just sprinkle a little bit of blood meal around, and you will find you have a much higher yield of greens. Now, in another container bed, I went ahead and planted cabbages and Swiss chard and some Chinese cabbage, a different kind. And those are also cool weather spring crops. So I've got those in the ground today. I'm real excited about that. My husband and I got a net that we're going to put over to keep those cabbage moths off from laying eggs and getting in there and eating up my cabbages. Also planted some mustard seed so I can have some good fresh mustard greens. But I picked up this netting online on Amazon, and I'm really looking forward to having some insect-free plants this spring. So I'm just covering it. I've got some hoops on these container beds, covering it with the netting, and hopefully this will keep out the cabbage moths, and we won't have anything eating up our delicious greens. So I've got those things going in the garden. And now into the house we go back, and we have some seedlings and my sweet potato slips. Now, several weeks ago I shared with you how I was going to grow the slips this year, and they were a great success. I just laid sweet potatoes in a pan of dirt, put it on a heat mat, and you can see how quickly those potatoes shot up with slips. Now, this potato had nothing on it, and it had rotted, so I've removed it. And now I'm going to share with you how to take these slips and grow roots on them, because this is what I want to plant in my containers to make more sweet potatoes. So I got a good start of slips. So all you have to do is take some jars and fill it with water, and then you just take a pair of scissors. You go in close to the base and you just snip. And then you put those in a jar of water. That's how easy it is to make sweet potato slips. So I've got a lot of these growing in the jar, and what you're going to do is you're going to watch, and in 2 or 3 days these slips will start growing roots. And then once they get a nice root growth on them, then you're going to plant them in your containers or in the ground, and you'll have a good way to start your sweet potatoes. Now, in the past, I've just buried some sweet potatoes that had some of this vine growing, and you can do it that way, but I really wanted a lot of slips to do at least 4 containers of sweet potatoes. So this is just an easy, fast way to grow you some slips. I've still left the sweet potatoes in the dirt after I cut all these slips off, and more are growing. So I'm real excited about that. And sweet potato vine is so pretty. It's very decorative. You could put these out on your front porch and then still have a beautiful plant and a really good food. Now in the dining room, these sweet little tomato seed starts I had to transplant into bigger cups. They are growing so fast, and I love starting seeds because I can get a good variety that you can't find in the store. So here's all I've got peppers, I've got all kinds of tomato seeds, I've got cucumbers and squash and zucchini. There's the sweet potato slips, and you can just barely make out some of the roots. So stay tuned for more about my little backyard garden and how much food I hope to grow. If you've got any questions, please leave those in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them if I can. And again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a very blessed day.